Welcome to Redvee TV, supported by A-Star Recruitment for the 2020 season, as we reflect on the departure of Luke Thompson with immediate effect to the Canterbury Bulldogs. Kev, your initial thoughts on the move?
Well, we said in the last Redvee TV that we did last night that we'd like to see him complete his contract. But if it's the best thing for the club, you can see why the club will go down the route of releasing him straight away for a fee. Disappointed, because you always want to see the best players pulling on the Redvee. You don't want to see them moving on sooner than they should. And I thought the statement that came out from Saints today was very matter of fact. I don't think it's a statement that has gone out lightly. I don't think you'd release such a statement if it wasn't true, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and I think for me, I know there were some fans who were saying, well, are we burning bridges? But for me, I think you need to give that honesty, because if that's the situation that's happened, you need to tell us that, because otherwise you can have some fans who would accuse us of maybe a lack of ambition and asking why we're letting our best players go. But if the club have been placed in an untenable position and the player himself wants to go early and essentially wouldn't sign off on a wage reduction like the rest of the squad, we're left in a pretty dire situation where our hands have been forced somewhat.
Yeah, damned if you do, damned if you don't, aren't you? People, as you say, people will want honesty from Saints. People will want the kind of truth, and if they don't get it, it's almost one of them that even in this day and age, people have their own opinions about things, and if they don't hear their opinion coming out of your mouth, they're not interested. Listen, this might just be the cold hard facts of listen. This is what's happened. We've had to let him go because of the things that are mentioned in the statement.
Obviously, the club have stated that the squad as a whole and the staff of the club have took a wage reduction at this time. For me, if he's the only one or one of the only players who's refused to do so, it doesn't leave us in a great situation, because if you're a Johnny Lomax, a Tommy Makinson, Kevin Nagama, at the end of the day, everyone's got bills to pay. And I've never been an advocate for saying people have to take pay cuts. And I didn't agree with the Premier League footballers needing to take pay cuts because I felt the clubs could suck it up. But in rugby league, the players have been asked to take pay cuts, as have the staff, in order to safeguard the future of the club and to ensure that there is a rugby league team for us to go back to watch. And they've all had to suck it up now. Obviously, Luke is going to depart anyway to pastures new to Australia on a big deal in the NRL. If you're a player and you see that from a teammate and he's refusing to take a pay cut, then where do you stand with that teammate? It can't be good for it couldn't have been good for the dressing room either, could it?
No, you wouldn't have thought so. That's it. You've got to put yourself in that situation. If it was, listen, if Redvee was the same and we actually got paid for doing this, and I took a pay cut, and Colin Silent Stew does all the other stuff, took a pay cut, but you turned around and said no because I'm off to I don't know, the Red Robin Hull KR one for more money. There would be that. You would start with like festering with a little bit of, well, hang on a minute, why am I clubbing into this and somebody else isn't? And listen, the club's got to protect itself, and whether that's just from a changing room point of view and keeping the harmony there, or whether it's a financial point of view, you've got to trust in Eamon and the club board and hierarchy are doing the right thing for the club. It's not pretty when you lose a great player as Luke Thompson is, one of the best front rows, one of the best English front rows in the world. It's not pretty, but listen, it's what happens. The club has lost bigger names than Luke Thompson, and we've still come through it, and this is what they've got to try and do now.
And I think for me, club will always come before any player. And ensuring that we can all get back into the totally wicked stadium as soon as possible and have a team to watch is the most vital thing. I'm a little disappointed. Listen, I'm disappointed because we're losing Luke Thompson because he's fantastic, absolutely amazing player last season, was our player of the year. But I'm a little disappointed that he didn't take the wage cut the same as everybody else when it's been a team decision. There's no I in team. And for me, not taking that wage cut after at the end of the day, Luke Thompson has gained his move to Australia, not only because of his ability, but because he's had the chance to develop that ability throughout his career at the club, starting at a young age. If this had been an overseas player who'd done this, like a Benny Barber or someone else, they'd have been castigated by the fans. For me, I'm disappointed that it's one of our own, essentially, that this has come to. But then you look at it, you don't know what agents are doing. You don't know whether the NRL club in Australia is trying to force the move early. I know obviously Canterbury wanted him earlier, and it seems like they've got his way. And it seems like the pandemic has been used to get the move far earlier than was planned. And especially after Luke's statement earlier in the year to say he was fully committed to the club for 2020. Now, at the end of the day, the season may start again in 8 weeks' time, and we may get, as Dave Howth was saying to us last night, a 22-game season. So the statement today saying, we might not play, and it's for he wants to play this year, I don't know whether that washes with me. And obviously, agents involved. I know he shares an agent with the agent of Denny Solomona. So has an agent had a say in his move? Obviously, you listen to the advisors you have, don't you, to do what's best for yourself as a player.
Yeah, it's very telling that in his statement that he released today as well, that he didn't refute what Saints had said about the wage cuts. There's no mention that Saints are wrong, and he's obviously released it a couple of hours after. And that's it. He probably, the lad has come through the ranks. He's done the last 12, 13 years through the youth teams and everything, and he was part of the furniture at Saints, really. So he has got that strong bond with the club. But yeah, it's telling that he didn't refute anything that's been said in his statement. And even though we're saying all this, and listen, he would be castigated if he was an overseas player, and we're not happy with kind of the taste that this is leaving of him going. It doesn't stop you wishing him well over there.
Of course, yeah, and we want him to do well. And listen, if the situation ever arises and we can get him back again, if it's for the best thing for the club and it improves the team, of course we want to see him back on the field. Now, there was some saying this morning that, that statement will bury any chances of that. I don't think it will, because this situation has already occurred. If it doesn't work out in Australia, or it does and he wants to eventually come back, it's obviously a business decision, isn't it? So if Saints are the team who at that point are offering the best money on the table, he would come back to us. Whereas equally, if it turned out to be a Warrington or a Wigan who offer more money, I'd fully expect him to go there, because obviously he's trying to maximise his earnings and his potential in his career.
That's it. I think there's always the I'm going to call it a dead cat thrown about that his dad's quite wealthy because he owned the transport company that you might see on the motorways. People. Luke Thompson doesn't kind of get me as the type of person who would turn around and say, my dad's rich, I'm not going to do anything about it. He's obviously worked hard to be one of the premier front rowers in Super League, and he wants to go over there and try his handouts. He's not sitting around waiting for handouts, or else he'd probably be working in his dad's office and not being one of the biggest names in Super League. It doesn't strike
an expectation, isn't it, Kev? Like, my dad, yeah, as you say, if dad's rich, he's going to give him money. Who says that's the situation?
Well, yeah.
Rich people don't usually get rich by giving the money away freely.
Well, exactly. Plenty of stories of when I worked at JJB about Mr. Whelan doing exactly the same. Wouldn't give his money away. That's it. They save the money. That's how they get money. Yeah, exactly. And Luke Thompson strikes me as the type of person who will kind of look after himself, but he'll have that kind of business acumen to realise that his career could be over he could take the first running for Canterbury, and his career could be ended by, well, look at innocuous as Mossy Masson. And it's ended up that Mossy's career is over. Thankfully, we're seeing him on the mend, but he's got that business acumen, and it's a shame that sport is seen, and it rightly seen, as such an emotive business. But you've got to kind of take into account as well that the players are doing it for a wage. They're not doing it because they can go play rugby with their mates and they'll have a couple of beers on a Saturday night, turn up for training on a Tuesday and Thursday anymore. It's not like that.
And obviously, we've seen the situation in the football this season. There's a Charlton player who's currently basically saying he won't play for the rest of the year because he's scared of affecting his big money move that he's obviously got arranged. You don't know what the situation is, whether players will want to play given the corona situation, or whether they'll get injured, and whether they're scared of affecting the future things. So obviously, with the season being extended potentially, then you've all got that in. So I think there's a lot of balls in play. For me, I'm disappointed with how it's ended. I'm disappointed that we're losing such a great player, but equally, given what the club have said, you've got to back the club on it, because at the end of the day, we want to watch St Helens. I don't pay to watch Luke Thompson. I pay to watch the club. And if for me, yeah, we all want to see a successful team. But first of all, we want to see a team back on the field, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. You've got to back that the hierarchy of the club are looking after the club's best interests. And as you say, if you went to watch one player, I mean, how many times would you come away because people, I only paid to watch Jamie Lyon? Well, you just stopped watching us at the end of 2006. If you only went to watch Paul Wellens, Paul Sculthorpe, you wouldn't be watching us anymore. So you're right with that. And it is a sour way for it to end. And you can understand almost the club's terse statement and the fact that it sounds like they're angry. You can understand that with the nurturing that's gone into Luke Thompson. But again, I wish the lad well, and I hope he goes over there and smashes it and has a career like over there.
And I think that's it for me. There's a lot of staff at that club who will be on a lot less money, and they've all made sacrifices for the good of the club and for the good of the future of the club. And the fact that Luke wouldn't do that disappoints me. But hey ho, we'll move on and regroup, and it's next man up, isn't it? Gives other players opportunities.
Gives Matty Lees, Jack Ashworth, the likes who are usually round the bench or 18th man, gives them the shout. Gives Kyler Moore the shout of starting. Louis might have to move back into prop rather than coming on as a 13 or a second rower. Then your second row, if Louis plays, you get Joe Batchelor getting more of a chance. Listen, you're right. It gives players who are in the squad more of a chance, and that's what we like seeing at Saints. We like seeing the young lads come through, and Luke Thompson's been one of them. You can't just stand still and have the same 17 turning out week after week after week. Sport evolves.
In McManus we trust.
Correct.
Right. I think that's enough. 2 videos in 2 days. We're getting giddy here, aren't we, Kev?
Well, it makes a change because I've been trying to get in touch with you for just doing one for the past couple of weeks, and you just keep saying, yeah, we'll do one.
Well, there's actually stuff to talk about. I've been relegated. I got relegated to the car to do this one, so I didn't get invaded by Paw Patrol toys. But there we go.
Fair enough. I don't know what you want me to say to that.
Right, let you go. Catch you soon, Kev.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't forget to go on then.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, that. See you later.